All right, let's jump right in. We're going to talk about something huge today, how to really take control of your life. We've pulled together some incredibly powerful ideas to create a kind of roadmap. You ready? Let's do this.
Okay, let's not beat around the bush. The one deadline nobody gets to change is death. Now, I know that sounds heavy, but it's not about being morbid. It's actually the ultimate motivator, right? When you know the game has an end, it forces you to ask a really important question. Am I actually playing while I'm here?
And that big deadline, it leads directly to this one question. This is the final exam, you could say. It's not going to be about what you owned or how much you accumulated. It's all about whether you lived a life that was truly yours, on your own terms. It's about getting to the end and not having that awful sinking feeling of what if, or I wish I had.
So, how do we avoid that regret? Well, we have to get in the game. And that brings us to our first big idea here. The game you're in. Because life, it's not a spectator sport. You're on the field, and that clock is always ticking.
This is so important to get. You are in the game right now. Not tomorrow, not after you get the promotion, not next week. Your big opportunity isn't coming, it's here. Every single day is a new chance, and the biggest mistake we all make is thinking that tomorrow's chance will somehow be better. It won't. The time to raise your standards, to make your move, it's this very moment.
Okay, but just playing hard without any kind of direction, that's just spinning your wheels. It's just busy work. And that takes us to our second section, a ship without a rudder. We're going to talk about the absolute need to find your why.
You know, the problem for so many of us is that we get caught up in this really unrewarding game called follow the follower. The thought process is basically just, well, I'll do what they're doing. You end up following the person in front of you who's just following the person in front of them. And pretty soon you're on this long, winding path that leads to someone else's destination, not yours.
And this is the real consequence of playing that follow-the-follower game. You've probably heard this saying before, and it's so true. A person without a goal is like a ship without a rudder. You're just adrift. You become one of the many people out there who are just reacting to the waves instead of actually setting a course and steering towards it.
This right here, this redefines what success even means. It's not some finish line you cross one day. It's the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. Think about that. That means if you are actively, right now, moving toward a goal you've chosen for yourself, you are by this definition already successful. Success isn't a destination, it's the journey.
Okay, great. So you've set your course. But guess what? The second you do, life starts throwing all these surface winds at you. You know what I'm talking about. Daily distractions, little setbacks, criticism from other people. And if you don't have some kind of anchor, those winds are just going to blow you right back to where you started.
And this brings us to this incredible metaphor. Old-time sailors would see these massive icebergs moving directly against the wind. It seemed impossible. How could that be? Well, the secret was that most of the iceberg's mass was underwater. It was caught in these deep, powerful ocean currents that completely overpowered whatever the wind was doing on the surface.
And that iceberg, that's you. Your purpose, your why, that is your deep current. And when you are locked into that purpose, all those surface winds, the criticism, the bad days, the endless distractions, they just don't have the power to knock you off your path anymore. You start moving with a much deeper intention.
So now we have our why, we have our deep current. The next question is, how do we actually steer the ship? And that brings us right to section 3, your personality, your reality. This is all about how to build your future from the inside out.
It honestly just boils down to this simple, powerful idea. As you think, so shall you be. We literally, and I mean literally, become what we think about most of the time. Whatever you focus on expands. So you have to become the vigilant gatekeeper of your own mind.
This breaks it down so perfectly. Think of it like this. Your thoughts, that's the blueprint. Your actions, that's the construction crew building the structure. And your feelings, well, that's the paint and decor that color your whole experience of living inside that structure. So your personality, this combo of thinking, acting, and feeling, is constantly creating your reality. If you want a different house, you got to start with a different blueprint.
So, the very first step is deciding what you need to let go of. See that tangled mess behind the person in this image? That's your past. That's all the old programming, the bad habits, the limiting beliefs that are just running on autopilot.
If you want to create a new future, you have to consciously snip the wires that connect you to that version of your past.
And this means actively deciding to leave certain things behind. You got to catch yourself when you think, I can't. You have to notice when you're about to start complaining or making an excuse. You have to decide once and for all that feelings of fear and insecurity are baggage that you are no longer willing to carry into your future.
And here's the real secret to making this change stick. You don't do your way to a new life, you have to become your way there. You decide on the person you want to be. Maybe that's confident or disciplined or focused, and then you start thinking and acting and feeling like that person right now. You literally grow into the image you hold in your mind.
Which brings us to our final and maybe the most important section, the path to freedom. Because this is where we turn all these cool ideas into real life, by choosing the hard path.
This slide shows one of the craziest paradoxes in life. It's so true. If you always choose the easy path, hitting the snooze button, avoiding that difficult conversation, procrastinating, your life actually becomes hard. You end up trapped. But if you consistently choose to do the hard things, your life over time becomes so much easier. You open up doors to more freedom and more opportunity.
And here's the simple math behind that choice. The pain of discipline, like getting up early, or making that sales call you're dreading, or doing the workout. It's uncomfortable, sure, but it weighs ounces. It's temporary. But the weight of regret, oh man, the regret for a life you could have lived, that weighs tons.
So what even is discipline, really? It is not about feeling motivated all the time. Come on, most of our decisions are driven by how we feel in the moment. Real discipline is the skill of separating your actions from your feelings. You set the play, you make the plan, and then, whether you feel like it or not, you run the play, period.
And don't get this twisted, this isn't about punishing yourself. This warpath, as it's called in the source material, it's not a war against other people. It's a war against your own limitations. It's a fight against the weakness inside you, so you can find your strength. It's a fight against your own ignorance, so you can find knowledge.
And that right there is the ultimate reward. This relentless, never-ending path of discipline is what leads to real freedom. Freedom from your own self-limiting habits, freedom from the crushing weight of regret, and the freedom to truly be the architect of your own life.
So we're going to leave you with this one last thought to chew on. Forget about next week. Forget about tomorrow. If you knew with absolute certainty that today was all you had left, what would you give for it? How would you show up? That is the energy to bring to every single moment. That is how you take control.